The NAIA quarterfinals in the football championship series, those games are in the books. We've already given you the scores on a previous video. Now let's talk about the top 5 performances from the quarterfinal weekend. As we look through there and see if we can get our audio down here just a little bit. Thanks for watching Midwest Sports Net tonight as we are live streaming on a Monday night. And hey, let me know, who do you think the top 5 performers should be? We'll reveal them in just a moment, and we'll also be going beyond the 5, and that's where we're going to start right now. 4 games on Saturday, and the first one, well, we'll give you the scores in just a moment. But as we go beyond the 5, let's look at some other good performances from the week. Benedictine, Garrett Kettle did not have the same game that he had the previous week. He's had a fantastic season for the Ravens, had a bit of a rough day, 13 for 25 passing, just 189 yards, 2 touchdowns, but 4 interceptions, and that proved to be big in the matchup against Indiana Wesleyan. But on defense, the Ravens did still look pretty solid. Javi Blomquist, 13 tackles on the day, 1.5 tackles for loss, had 1 pass breakup. Gavin Spangler, 13 tackles on the day, had a 0.5 tackle for loss. Zach Gill, 12 tackles on the day for Benedictine. So 3 Ravens on defense having double digits in tackles. You know that they would like to have it to where they didn't have to have all those tackles because they gave up time of possession. Indiana Wesleyan had it just about 2-1. So Benedictine, not the best day of the season. It was a rough time to have it in the quarterfinals. Benedictine on the losing end. Also another team on the losing end, but had a solid performer, Marion, whose defense had been so strong all season long, went up against a very, very tough offense in Northwestern, came up on the short end. However, Logan Blake, 5 tackles on the day, 1.5 tackles for loss. He picked off a pass, 3rd time this season that Blake has had an interception, and this one he returned 50 yards, led to Marion's first score, unfortunately, for the Knights. That first score came in the 3rd quarter, and at that point, Marion found itself down just 35-7. They'd go on to be down 52-7 before they put some points on the board late. Logan Blake, 3rd pick of the year. His first 2 interceptions this season had gone for pick sixes. This one, not so much, but it did ultimately lead to a score. Marion comes up a little short. We'll talk about that a little bit more, as we will this next game. Lindsey Wilson comes up just 3 points short in this game. Luke Bowman, though, had another big game in the playoffs. Last week, a big interception. Proved to be the game-winning score last week for Lindsey Wilson, the 23-22 victory last week. 4 tackles, 1 interception. This one wasn't a pick six, however, a 51-yard return for Blake on the interception to the 4-yard line, and it set up a Kobe Belcher touchdown from 4 yards out. But that would be the only score of the day for Lindsey Wilson. So the Blue Raiders come up just a little bit short. Now tell me really quickly, which 5 performers or performances do you think were the top 5? Let us know. By the way, let me know from where you're watching this today or tonight or whenever you're happening watching. We will reveal our top 5 performances right about now. See if those match up with what you might think would have been top 5 performances from this week. We will start with Joe Dolenchek. Final game for Morningside, and he had been out for a little while with a finger injury, and Morningside also doing without Ryan Cole for the day, so other people had to step up, but Dolenchek comes back, says, no, I'm going to play. He gutted it out. A very tough performance for Dolenchek. Still, though, 50% completion rate, 18 for 36 passing on the day for 250 yards, had 2 touchdowns. Unfortunately for him, he had 2 interceptions as well. Dolenchek, though, early on had the Mustangs with a lead that wound up being 21-3 after the first quarter, and a 25-yard touchdown pass to Zach Norton in the first quarter put the Mustangs up 14-3. That touchdown pass was number 166 for his career, and he passed Trent Solsma, who held the NAIA record at that point, 166. He goes one more, an 8-yard touchdown pass to KJ Williams. His first touchdown reception of the year, had 5 rushing touchdowns. His first touchdown reception of the year, number 167, and that's the number that will be locked in with Joe Dolenchek. A fantastic career, and now the all-time leader in passing touchdowns thrown in the NAIA. And again, a record that just stays with Morningside. Trent Solzma, a fantastic quarterback in his time. Joe Dolenchek, also a fantastic quarterback in his time. But Morningside comes up a little bit short. We'll talk about that game a little bit more as we get down through these next performers. And you're going to see, you see on the list right there, as we have, of course, only 4 of those teams won their games on Saturday. Morningside comes up a little bit short, but we just couldn't pass up as a top 5 performance the player who now holds the NAIA record in passing touchdowns. So 4 quarterbacks on this list, one that's not. And I know if you're a Grandview fan, I feel like that you feel like I don't give Johnny Sullivan enough credit. And we do give Johnny Sullivan credit. As a matter of fact, I want to say here, he was 23 for 39 passing, 211 passing yards on the day, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, though, as the defenses for both these teams, for both Grandview and Lindsey Wilson, really locked in, and a couple of picks on Johnny Sullivan on the day. It was a good enough day for Sullivan, and it wound up being a good enough day for Grandview. But there were a lot of incompletions in this game. There were a lot of plays that just didn't live up to where they needed to be. The defense is locked in. There were penalties, a number of penalties for both these teams. But Grandview, a team that is now number 1 in the NAIA, the only team in the NAIA that is giving up fewer than double digits points per game at 8.8 points per game now, 13-0 for Grandview. And the defense kicked in. So if the offense isn't doing well, the defenses are locking in. What do you need? You need some help from your special teams. And really didn't get that much of it for either side on the day, as Nathan Hamilton for Grandview went 1 for 3 on field goal attempts for the day. Ian Sauter, field goals, 0 for 3 on the day. And I think that really led to Grandview's decision in the closing minutes to try to go and make it into the touchdown. They were not getting success, neither one, as Ian Sauter, a 39-yard miss in the first quarter, a 56-yard miss in the second quarter, a 39-yard miss again in the third quarter, and Sauter 0 for 3 on the day. Pretty stable on the year, not his day on Saturday. Nathan Hamilton, who's been very strong on the year, has come up with some big field goals for Grandview this season, gets 1 more in the fourth quarter, but not before he missed a 40-yarder in the second quarter, missed a 47-yarder in the fourth quarter. His longest field goal attempt of the day, 48 yards with 2 minutes and 24 seconds left, connects. And that proved to be the difference in the game. Grandview with a 10-7 victory. And again, just to point out too, and we mentioned this on Saturday talking about the scores, Lindsey Wilson had 1 more opportunity and moved the ball more than 70 yards down the field. Ethan Cash, his best drive of the day, realistically, pushed it, completed his passes on his final 4 pass attempts of the day. They decided not to try to attempt a field goal, and in doing so, they come up short, just short, as connection, the final connection, a pass complete, but just to the 2-yard line. And Grandview, with the defense, holds on for a win, 10-7. Grandview victorious, and Grandview will move on. Our next top 5 performer, how about Xander Stokes? He has had a fantastic season. And again, I'm going to mention some other names because there are other players for these teams that did well on the day. Stokes, we've talked about him from before the season start, as he was one of our top returning quarterbacks, said he may have an opportunity to do something big. Indiana Wesleyan, one of our dark horse teams to make it into the playoffs. And the Wildcats have not only made it in, they've won now 2 games in the playoffs, first 2 NAIA playoff victories for Indiana Wesleyan. Stokes on the day, 18 for 25 passing, 72% completion rating there, 187 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Big day for Stokes. Now, do want to mention Dadarian Williams, another big day for him, 26 carries for 133 yards. Stokes had to find somebody. He found Jaquez Carter twice of those 3 touchdowns thrown, 3 receptions for 59 yards on the day. And how about Neil Campbell? Neil Campbell with 4 tackles for that Indiana Wesleyan defense, but they picked off Garrett Kettle 4 times, and Neil Campbell responsible for 2 of those interceptions. Xander Stokes with a top 5 performance on the day. And this next one probably would have been the one we reserved for last if it just hadn't been for a fantastic performance from Gramstad. We'll talk about him a little bit later on. How about Kaiser? How about Bryce Veasley? Shea Spencer, the starting quarterback who's had a fantastic year for Kaiser, a team that is now 9-3, 9-0 against NAIA opponents. They're playing in their 9th road game of the season, and they're taking on the number 1 team in the country. Shea Spencer, a little bit of a rough start. He's 5 for 10 passing, trying to get things going on the road in Sioux City. Early on in the second quarter, just around the 9-minute mark in the second quarter, he was slung down hard. He got up slowly, and he wound up being out for the day. Enter Bryce Veasley. And Veasley had a fantastic day from that point on. He went 17 for 29 passing, 226 yards. He had 1 touchdown pass, which proved to be the game winner. No interceptions, 9 carries for 19 yards. And I want to bring up a stat here really quickly, or at least a group of stats here. This is the first drive in which Veasley entered the game. And look at this for just a moment here. Kaiser drive starts at the 9-minute, 19-second mark. Then Shea Spencer sacked for a loss. That's when he went out. Then Veasley comes in. Rush, incomplete pass, a little bit of a struggle to get things started. Delay of game, and it's looking rough, but he just keeps going. Then rush for 3 yards, completed pass, rush for 4 more yards, get a penalty. After that, another completed pass, incomplete, but here, starting to get things moving, pass complete, rush for 3 yards, pass complete, rush for 4 yards, rush for 2 yards. Ultimately, it's capped off by Meisinger getting a touchdown. That drive for Kaiser was 18 plays, 74 yards. It took 7 minutes and 40 seconds off the board, and it wound up resulting in a touchdown, which put Kaiser realistically on the board for the first time. 21-10 now the score just before the half, and that's what it was going into halftime. Meisinger with a big day. 28 carries, 97 yards, the 2 touchdowns, one of them being that one. Jalen Arnold, the recipient of a 76-yard game-winning touchdown pass from Bryce Veasley with 8:21 left in the fourth quarter as the Kaiser defense would hold. Arnold, 5 receptions, 108 yards, the 1 touchdown. But Bryce Veasley, with a game to remember for his whole life, he comes in off the bench. You always be ready. Always be ready. And Veasley was ready. He came in, made the most of it. On the home field of the number 1 team in the country, stopped a 25-game winning streak at Morningside. And what a day for Bryce Veasley. So 29-28, the Kaiser defense holds. Kaiser moves on. Kaiser will go on the road and take on Grandview next week in semifinal action. And then let's go one more here. How about this one? Jalen Gramstad. He may just be getting better every single week. A huge day for Gramstad. 21 for 33 passing, 297 yards passing, 5 touchdowns, had the 1 interception. He also had 10 carries for 48 yards and 1 more touchdown. Gramstad was responsible for 6 touchdowns on the day, another rushing touchdown, 345 yards of total offense on the day. Now Gramstad, with the results from Saturday, has a rushing touchdown in 11 of 12 games in 2022. 11 of 12 games in 2022. By the way, the one game in which he didn't have a rushing touchdown, he had 3 passing touchdowns. They really didn't need it against Briar Cliff. And Northwestern against Briar Cliff historically has won now 20 consecutive games against Briar Cliff, 20-0 all time, and has outscored the Chargers 844 to 226 all time. So Gramstad not getting a rushing touchdown in that game is probably not that big a deal. Also for the year now, Gramstad, he's reached the 2020 mark. He has 20 passing touchdowns on the season and 20 rushing touchdowns on the season. Jalen Gramstad coming in, taking over the starting position Early mid portion of the year for Fryer has made the most of it, and he has led the Red Raiders into the semifinals. Oh, by the way, Michael Story, 7 catches on the day, 138 yards. He was the recipient of 4 of those touchdown passes. He was named the Northwestern Player of the Week, too, on the Red Raiders site. Cade Mosier, 9 catches on the day, 93 yards receiving, 1 touchdown as well. And Connor McQuillan had a great rushing day, another strong day for McQuillan, 25 carries, 109 yards, had a rushing touchdown as well. Jalen Gramstad leads the Red Raiders into the semifinals, where they will host Indiana Wesleyan. That is next Saturday. So a big, big weekend ahead for NAIA football. Semifinal matchups, I just don't know that you could ask for too much better than this. Kaiser at Grandview, Indiana Wesleyan at Northwestern. And I actually did get the thing that I was hoping for in these matchups, in that the state of Iowa is split. So you're not having an Iowa versus Iowa team matchup in the semifinals. So the potential for an all Iowa championship is there. Now, I'm not saying that Kaiser or Indiana Wesleyan, either one of those teams or both, are not going to win. Okay, that we're not saying that here at Midwest Sports Net. I am saying, however, it does leave open the opportunity for an all Iowa championship, and that would be one of those interesting stats as well. Just something to think about there. Top 5 performers from the quarterfinals: Joe Dolenchek, Nathan Hamilton, Xander Stokes, Bryce Beasley, Jalen Gramstad, and so many other good players. A fantastic weekend of football. We look forward to another big weekend of football as well. Don't forget, by the way, too, that the NAIA volleyball tournament, pool play, takes place starting Wednesday. It's Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Then the quarterfinals, semifinals after that, once they get into bracket play, that's going on in Iowa as well. Of course, in Sioux City, lots more there. And we will be talking basketball, not only NAIA, but Division II basketball and more here on Midwest Sports Net. We are very close to another milestone subscriber-wise. We have nearly 1,200 subscribers. Thank you to all of you who have subscribed. I encourage you, please take the time, subscribe to the channel. We really would appreciate that. It does help a lot. It really does make a difference. And like the video, subscribe to the channel, share the video, and come back. We are Midwest Sports Net, where we talk about small college sports and more throughout the Midwest and beyond. Thanks to everyone for watching tonight. I really appreciate that. If you're watching the replay and you stuck around this long, thanks a lot for watching it all the way to the end. More videos are on the way this week on Midwest Sports Net, and Midwest Sports Saturday taking place this weekend from the Live United Bowl in Texarkana, Arkansas. We'll be there for that as well and give you some coverage from Texarkana. So in the meantime, thanks for watching. God bless you all. Have a great night.